This week, it's all about nurseries. I'm Janelle Pantrico, Creative Director at Spaces, and we're going to be talking about things to consider when decorating a nursery for the first time. So when we think about decorating the nursery, usually it's not a big room in the home that we find a lot of people paying a lot of attention to for decorating. It's only in recent times that we've realized that people are now exploring the options of actually decorating the nursery and being really creative with the space for the newborn baby. So one of the things that we find that people are doing is experimenting a lot more with the color scheme options for the nursery. Typically used to think and find only blue for boys, pink for girls, but now there are a lot of different color scheme options that we see our clients utilizing and asking for in their homes. So one of the common things you realize when you're picking a color scheme for a nursery is that you typically go with more pastel, neutral shades of one color. So you find that shades like coral, light pink, as opposed to using more intense colors like red or things like that. For mixing of colors, you find that there's more options out there apart from just using the primary colors that we've been traditionally using. And you find that once you're willing to experiment and open up to the new trends that are out there, you can really personalize the space for your baby. So another key component when decorating your nursery is deciding on what pieces you need in addition to the basic, which is the crib. Storage is of importance. You realize that the baby has tons of clothes and diapers and all sorts of other things that are going to need place. And in order to operate efficiently, we always suggest that you consider storage. So thinking of using probably like a dresser, like a 6-drawer, 9-drawer dresser that can also double as a changing tabletop if you buy the appropriate safety changing tops that can be attached to your dresser. Thinking of utilizing the closet space by going vertical, adding more shelving inside the room so you can put baskets that can store diapers, onesie, and all sorts of other things that you'll need for your newborn baby. And we also don't want to forget the mom while we're also outfitting the nursery. I mean, it's important to have a very comfortable seating spot for mom where she can do her nursing, whether you consider using a rocker, a recliner, or maybe an accent chair. An accent chair is also a great way to add some more personality, and it's another decorative element that can enhance the nursery space as well too. A great piece to add to the room, which adds some character as well, and is also for comfort purpose, is adding a poof or an ottoman. You can get a poof that's just decorative in nature that you can put your feet up and rest while you're doing your nursing, or an ottoman that also offers extra storage space as well. That can be used to store some of the baby's toys, etc. in there. So it's also a very useful piece in the room as well. So another consideration when purchasing pieces for the nursery is to look at how these pieces can transition with your child. So you're going from the infant stage to the toddler to your perhaps may even be in the same space to teenage years. So you want to invest in pieces that can transition with your child. There are a lot of options now available with cribs that can, if you buy the kits with them, that can be transitioned into safety beds, full-size beds as the child progresses. And two, you may not necessarily want to go with kid-size furniture, so if you can look outside of buying youth furniture as like an appropriate dresser that can transition with the child, you may not necessarily want to buy a pink one. White would suffice, and that can transition with a girl or a boy as they through the stages. And while safety and storage and all those elements are important while you're decorating your nursery, it's also a fun time for the parents to be as well. So I would suggest that they take their time, enjoy the process, and just look forward to the coming years and the time that they're going to spend with their child in that room. So right now I'm actually excited because in our next project we'll be working with Kalila Reynolds. So in another couple of weeks, she and her husband will be welcoming their baby, which is a girl. So we're excited to work with her on this project. I have some ideas already for the space, and she has some ideas too. So we're going to meet with her at our home and see how best we can collaborate and make sure that we have the most perfect room for her baby.
I like, well, like I said, like the mint green. So probably like maybe this color. What's it? Preservation, it says.
Right. Hi again, it's Janelle from Spaces. So we're back. We're now at Kalila Reynolds' house. Just before the break, we were at the store discussing tips for decorating your nursery. Right now, we're getting ready to go inside for the first time. I have a little bit of concern because Kalila is about 34 weeks pregnant, and ideally we would want to have the nursery ready by this time, just so that, you know, any scents from the paint and everything would have had time to evaporate, and that the baby would be coming into an environment that's all ready. And two, you never know, at 34 weeks the baby could decide to come early. So one of the concerns Kalila had when she met with us was that the space she has designated for the nursery is on the small side. We at Spaces actually specialize in small spaces, so while that may be a concern to her, there are a lot of ways that we can manipulate the space in order to get maximum utilization of the space. So we're going to take a look and see how best we can help her. Hi. Kalila.
Nice to meet you.
Same. So guys, we just took a look at Kalila's nursery. It's a small room, but it's not a big challenge for us at Spaces. It's definitely a workable space. We can put inside pretty much everything that Kalila has on her wish list. So we're just gonna delve in more and find out what exactly she wants in the space, and if she has already any inspiration that she's seen, so we can work with and try and see if we can get her exactly what she wants. So Kalila, have you been looking at any concepts or ideas for the nursery?
Well, the only thing I really have on my list that I want is the color scheme. I really like the combination of mint green and lavender.
Right.
And possibly gray can go in the mix too, as a trimming or some combination of those colors.
Okay, that's a wonderful color scheme. It's actually a very nice and soothing palette. You don't want to put any colors that are too bright or going to be too energetic in your room, because you do want to create a very relaxing and calming atmosphere for the baby. So what we can look at is ways of incorporating those colors. You know, you're gonna have your soft furnishings for the nursery, for the bedding. You have window treatment options, and of course the main focal point is the paint color that you'll ultimately choose for the walls. So let's take a look at this color palette here and see if we could probably pinpoint a color that jumps out at you. I usually recommend for my clients, because the chips that you get from the paint store, the colors, depending on the lighting in your room, may not reflect ideally as what it is on the paper.
This I know.
You've had the experience.
The color of these walls right now is not what I thought.
I do suggest starting with a quart size, test it in the room so that you can see how the lighting will affect the space. So we can probably pick out one or two from here, and then we can narrow down, and then you could go ahead and get the quartz. We test it on the wall and see if we still like the color, and then we can work from there.
I like the mint green, so probably like maybe this color. What's it? Preservation, it says.
Right.
And a lavender.
We're gonna try and find something that's in the same tone as it as well to complement it. So finding a color scheme is where we start off first, and as you hear, I mean, the inspiration can come from anything. You may have had a bedding that you liked already for the crib, and we can use that as a color palette, or we're working with the color scheme, and then now we can start choosing the bedding and the other things that are going to go into the space. Some of the things that we also need to consider is storage. Having a newborn baby, as you know, you're going to have like diapers, you know, all your onesies and everything. So I realized there's a cute little space that we could actually put some shelving and create a little cubby hole that will give you some extra storage inside the space. So what we want to do is to maximize on the small space that we have. So doing vertical floating shelves, probably can go ahead and put those in as well. If you have a dresser, that can double as storage as well as your changing table.
Right.
So that's another option that we consider. And then we can look at, having a nice comfortable chair for you so that you have somewhere you'll be able to nurse the baby.
Another concern that we had is, designing on a budget, because we don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on this. Kids grow stuff out so quickly too. We don't want it to be dated too quickly, that by the time she's 2, it's looking like a little baby's room, and she,
Yeah, that's definitely a real concern. One of the things that we can do is probably do some DIY projects for the nursery. And it's a great way to personalize the space. I've looked around your home and I realized there's a couple paintings that you pointed out to me that you did yourself. And it would be a nice project if you could personalize some canvas pieces for the new nursery. So that's one way you can save on the budget. Another thing too is not necessarily using the colors on the wall, because again, paint is something that you may have that for a couple of years. So you could go with a more neutral color on the wall, say the gray that you mentioned that you also like as well. So that could be the base color for the wall, and then we could introduce the other colors in the window treatments, in the bedding, and those are things that you would have disposed of in a couple of months or so forth. So that's one way that you could save on the budget as well.
Yeah, that works.
Mix and match pieces, you don't have to get everything new. If someone has a crib that they can hand down, you can always refinish that.
Yeah, perfect. One of my friends is giving me a crib.
There you go, and that's a huge savings right there already. You may find a dresser around the home that you could probably repurpose, that you could have sanded down and painted in maybe a white or something like that your baby can grow with. So she could go from baby stage to toddler into her teenage years with a nice solid piece of furniture. Another great and fun way to personalize the nursery is with accessories. You could use stuffed toys, personalized artwork on the wall, nice inspirational quotations. These are things that you could do yourself. I mean, again, if you are on a budget, not everything necessarily has to be store-bought. And again, it's something that you may want to keep as a memento, as a keepsake for the child as they grow up. This is what mom did for you, and it would be a great way to keep memories of the process going through. Another nice accessory to add is we always forget the windows. So they double as preventing too much sun to come in so that the baby can sleep throughout the morning and so forth. But it's also another way of adding a nice other layer and element of decor into the space. So we can look at probably doing something like Roman shades in like a fun print as well. So there are a lot of options we can do. I mean, I'm gonna go back to the office now that I've seen the space and come up with a nice, great design concept for you.
Do you have any ideas for the floor? I was thinking maybe a rug.
Okay, sometimes a rug is a great option, but also too, depending on the baby, I mean, some children are born with allergies, so you may not necessarily want to have a rug that might cause any allergic reaction. Something that you could consider is probably like a play mat, which you could either get with like the alphabet and the numbers, which is something that with as they get older is something that becomes like a useful learning tool for them as well.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are fun.
Right.
And then I was looking at these 2 dressers.
Those are just?
Yeah. This one matches the crib, but this one is much cheaper. Price is another thing.
And these are dressers or chest of drawers?
Chest of drawer.
But you wouldn't do the dresser?
What do you mean by dresser? The one with the mirror on it?
One. Well, you can buy it without the mirror, and then it could be the changing table like how they have this here. So this is actually a dresser, and they just put a changing pad on there, which you can strap down.
Oh.
Yeah. So we've seen the space, we've taken our measurements, and we've met with the mom-to-be. I'm excited to be working with Kalila, so I'm gonna head back to my office now to get started on our plan. We only have a couple of weeks, so I have to hurry and make sure I get things right. So see you guys back here in about 2 weeks' time.
It's very calming. I love this chair. It's like, oh, you just get to crack back and feed her and rock her and whatnot. So So this is the nursery. This is Nurice's room. She's now 2.5 months old, and I love it. It's actually one of my favorite rooms in the house. It's very calming. I love this chair. It's like, oh, you just get to crack back and feed her and rock her and whatnot. So she's going at it right now. The crib was a hand-me-down from a friend. It was her baby's crib, and now it's Nurice's crib. I love the color scheme, the purple, turquoise, and gray. Janelle really did a great job in designing the room from Spaces. The wallpaper was provided by them too. And some of the accessories we got online at Amazon.com. Daddy did a whole lot of work in here, as you can see. You saw the before images. He did all the painting, put up the wallpaper. Him and his dad put up the chair rail, the baseboards, as well as the shelves. And you can see her tiny little clothes, tiny little closet. Some toys and some books are up, and everybody really loves this space. We come in here, sometimes we come in here just to relax, because it's one of the cooler rooms in the house too, because of the breeze comes through this window to the back. The window treatment is awesome. This was done by the team at Spaces, so we're overall really happy with the room. The wall decorations were provided by Janelle too. She gave us those as a present from Spaces. And I think they look really, really nice in the room. They just add that extra touch, the little feminine touch. We have a nice walnut colored dresser too, with some silver hardware that goes well with the room. And we just use that as the changing table. We bought a changing mat and put it on top. And that's where we change her. Fits all her clothes. There is space as well by the shelves for box of Pampers, box of wipes, go through those things, many a day. So it comes in very handy. It's a small space, but she's a small child, so it works out very well. The doll, the Cabbage Patch doll, was my older daughter's doll. She had it since she was her age. My older daughter is now 15, so that doll is now 15 years old. And the dress that she's wearing used to be her dress as well. So it was a dress for her as a baby. And now the doll wears it, and the doll has a new owner. So it's Nurice's now. And she and the doll is same size. Overall, I just really enjoy this space. It's such a calm, relaxing area to come. I want to thank Janelle Pantry from Spaces and her entire team as well for all the hard work that they put in so that we can have a room we truly, truly enjoy.